Dr. Jaishankar, please join us.
Foreign Minister Kasulidis, Deputy Minister Dimitriadis, Permanent Secretary, High Commissioner, dear friends. First of all, let me say what a pleasure it is to be in Cyprus. This is a visit that I have planned for some time, and partly because of COVID, I think it is taking place later than I expected. But I certainly would like to thank the government of Cyprus and the Foreign Minister in particular for the very warm reception that I got yesterday. And I would like today really to share with you both my sense of the relationship as well as the economic cooperation possibilities that are inherent in it. The year 2022 is obviously a very special year in our ties. It marks the 60th anniversary of the establishment of diplomatic relations between us. As you would note from the backdrop behind me, we are also celebrating 75 years of India's independence. And I was very pleased yesterday that I had an occasion to join the President of the House of Representatives in releasing a set of commemorative stamps on this occasion, which were brought out by Cyprus Post. Now, insofar as our relationship is concerned, I think the institutional mechanisms have been very active, and we as ministers try to give them direction, certain motivation, and I think Minister, the fact that you and I have met 3 times this year has certainly helped I think in that process. I see that our Joint Committee on Economic, Scientific, Technical and Industrial Cooperation had met last year, even though it was virtual, and the 5th round of our consultations at the Foreign Office were also held in 2020. So whether it is the political review or the economic review, I think we have certainly from the side of the government tried to keep the relationship very much on track. Now, let me say a few words about our economic cooperation. In June 2021, India reclassified the Republic of Cyprus in Category 1 of foreign portfolio investors in India. Cyprus is the 3rd non-FATF country other than Mauritius and the UAE to be given this exemption. And in December 2021, Invest India and Invest Cyprus signed a memorandum of understanding with the intention of enhancing our mutual investment activities and promoting overall business cooperation between us. Now, where our bilateral trade is concerned, it's gone up and down, understandably, because of the impact of COVID on both economies. Last year, the bilateral trade by our financial year was $214 million. I know we've hit higher numbers before. I'm very confident that we will do that again. I also want to emphasize that Cyprus is today the 10th largest FDI investor in India, with a cumulative investment of almost $12 billion during the period of the last 20 years. Now, the pandemic has actually highlighted the importance of stronger economic cooperation, perhaps most of all in the health and pharma sector. I do note that pharmaceuticals, iron and steel, ceramic products, electrical machinery are some of the major items of export from India to Cyprus. But if one looks at the basket of our trade, clearly there's a lot of potential there that we need to explore more. I also note that the Cyprus-India Business Association, which was established under the auspices of the Cyprus Chamber of Commerce in 2005, has been steadily progressing towards expanding our investment and commercial ties. Now, where India is concerned, I think it's a fairly objective statement today to make that we are getting increasingly prominent in the global economy. Our trade policies, reforms which were undertaken during this period, and the inherent economic strengths, all in a sense channeled by a clear economic vision of the Modi government, has contributed to our becoming one of the most strong destinations for inward foreign direct investment. Also, I think the technological and infrastructure progress that we have made in the last few years has clearly created a greater appetite in the world for investing in India, but it has also increased our own capabilities where trade and other economic activities are concerned. During the pandemic, we actually used this period to carry out very ambitious economic reforms. Some of these were in the making since 2014, but certainly the Make in India initiative and what we call Atmanirbhar Bharat, which is a sort of a self-reliance. It's promoting greater capacities within India. These were taken by the government in a much more focused way, and our intention, our goal is clearly to make India a major manufacturing hub and to emerge as a 5 trillion economy by 2025. I would particularly like to draw your attention to the successes we've had in an initiative called the Production Linked Incentive Program, which has a certain set of domains where we have pushed for investments in those domains through incentives with the idea of increasing production based in India. And we are doing this not just for our own prospects, obviously that is important, but also because we believe that in the post-COVID era, the global economy will be looking for more resilient and reliable supply chains. It will be looking for multiplicity and redundancy in manufacturing. I think one of the big lessons which have come out of the COVID experience is that we have to de-risk the global economy with many more production options for global consumers. So it certainly is our strategy in the post-COVID era to position ourselves as a much greater manufacturer, as a much greater trader, as a much stronger service provider, and I think all these have direct implications for businesses in Cyprus. Let me also say a few words about the role that we played during the pandemic. I think even in the most difficult days of the pandemic, we were very conscious that we were part of the global community, and this was it was a shared fight against the pandemic. So we did, especially in 2020, we were very major exporters of pharmaceuticals. Our pharmaceutical industry stepped up to the challenge. It increased its production very significantly. So whether it was hydroxychloroquine or whether it was paracetamol or other medical items, in fact, during that period, we had exports to over 150 countries, many of whom were not part of our traditional markets, and many of whom were actually in Europe. The other contribution we made during the pandemic was to share our healthcare experience and expertise in our own neighborhood and also in Africa, because one of the big concerns at that time was that the global health response was very differentiated, and we did not want to see inequity insofar as African countries were concerned. When vaccine production and distribution started, we were one of the big global hubs to make vaccines, and we supplied vaccines to 101 countries, including to the United Nations for the use of its peacekeepers. So the traditional Indian belief in the world as one family, which incidentally is also a variant of that is our motto for the G20, I think was something which we put into practice during the pandemic years. A year ago, when my Prime Minister addressed the World Economic Forum, he actually made a very interesting observation. He said that during the Corona period, the world was focused on interventions like quantitative easing. But India was actually busy paving the way for reforms. Now, he also mentioned that the biggest projects for us at that time were to modernize the digital and physical infrastructure. And these really got unprecedented momentum during the pandemic. Now, the results of all of that, I think, are beginning to be visible. We are receiving the highest ever FDI flows in our history. Last year, we received $81 billion as FDI. We have become home to one of the world's largest startup ecosystems. We host close to 100 unicorns now, 40 of them a product just in 2021 alone. In fact, we have the third largest number of unicorns currently. Our trade has expanded very substantially. In the year 2021-22, for the first time, our exports crossed the $400 billion level. And this year, we have set ourselves a target of $470 billion. And the export target for Europe is a little in excess of $90 billion. And I say this because I think a larger trade presence, a stronger trade performance will clearly have a significance for a lot of other services and industry, particularly for shipping. I also want to mention that as part of the reforms that we have done in the last few years, these have included areas like taxation, bankruptcy and insolvency laws, agriculture, labor, and of course FDI policies. So as a result, really a very different India is today emerging with many more solutions to problems which have dogged us for a long time. And a lot of this I also want to highlight because it is a point of commonality with Cyprus. This is being done in a democratic framework with debate, with discussion, with a lot of confabulation, and with the buy-in of all the relevant stakeholders. Now, we do recognize that we live in a globalized world and that anything which happens today in one corner of the world will inevitably impact every other part of the world. We can see that very graphically when it comes to the Ukraine conflict. We saw that earlier when it came to the pandemic. And as I said, today the efficiency and the delivery of global supply chains, I think, is a common concern today for all countries in the world. We are, for us, the main anxieties, which in a sense I share with you today, concern energy, both the affordability and the accessibility to energy, to food grains, to fertilizers, and this is not just our concern. I think it's a larger concern in the global south, and it's certainly a worry that we intend to take up very strongly during the presidency of the G20, which we have taken over on the 1st of December. In terms of the impact of the reforms and the easing of regulations that I've spoken about, it's not just stronger stronger export growth and ramped up capital spending. This has really translated into a fairly robust GDP growth. We are still looking at the ballpark figure of somewhere between, take 7% GDP growth plus minus. And this would certainly be among the highest among the larger economies of the world. As an important tourist destination, I thought I should share some thoughts on that subject with Cyprus, in Cyprus as well. It's again, we are moving very aggressively to promote tourism. But I would like to share with you that there's also a big outflow of tourists from India. In fact, I was telling the minister yesterday, I go to a number of countries as part of my travels and see that Indian tourists are among the top 3 or top 5 tourism providers. And this could be from Thailand and Maldives to even the Caribbean. Since it is one of the mainstays of your economy, I do believe it is a sector perhaps where we need to give more attention in terms of our future collaboration. A second sector, I think, which merits a special reference is the IT sector. Even the IT industry has actually matured enormously in the last 2 decades. So that old imagery of India as the back office of the world, we may still be that, but I think we've grown well beyond. The era of the knowledge economy, I think, is seeing much more, not just contract manufacturing and engineering outsourcing, but actually a much more integrated innovation and even inventions in which Indian companies are part of the global economy. In fact, even in an area like the manufacturing of chips, which is today very much, it's right up there in terms of global competition. I heard in the US that American companies alone actually have employ more than 40,000 engineers in that business in India. So the message which I really bring to you is that today India is a trusted partner when it comes to global supply chains. We are working on free trade agreements with different countries to promote business. Obviously, the one with the European Union is under negotiation. This decision was taken at the Porto summit. I think the government of Cyprus was very helpful in moving the European Union in that regard. We are very deeply appreciative of that. This year, we actually concluded 2 agreements, one with Australia, one with the UAE. We have a number of other agreements on which we hope to make progress. As I said, in terms of technology and innovation, there is a lot happening of India which should be of interest. Again, perhaps the sector which I should mention is the renewable energy sector. When it comes to startups, there's a lot of energy out there. And we are trying to actually see how we can, in a way, harness the energies and the creativity of Indians in the diaspora in that regard. So, before I conclude, I would like to perhaps also flag the climate action issue, because I think wherever you go in the world today, that is a common concern. The last year, 2 years have actually brought home to each one of us today that this is not a hypothetical threat. This is not something which we said would happen one day in the future. I think it's already happened last week and last month and last year. Certainly, I think for fragile topographies, it is something which is of growing concern. What I again want to emphasize here is, as a country which home to 17% of the world's population, we today contribute about 5% of the world's emissions. But we may be contributing 5% of the emission, but our commitment to tackle climate change is 100%. And we have led not just by expanding massively our renewables at home. One of the big initiatives we are currently working on, we want to use the G20 presidency to advance that, is actually to advocate a change of lifestyle. That we do believe, my Prime Minister feels very strongly that changing lifestyles would actually make a big difference to the environment. We have also been leaders on 2 international initiatives. One of them is the International Solar Alliance, and I'm really very gratified yesterday that the Republic of Cyprus has chosen to become a member. And the other is a coalition for disaster resilient infrastructure, which is something which all coastal areas, I think, and obviously island states have a particular interest in examining and partnering. Currently, about 40% of our energy mix comes from non-fossil sources. And I can say this, that at a time when global pressures are taking the world away from the Paris commitments and away from the Agenda 2030 Sustainable Development Commitments, we are staying true to both of them. I think among the G20 countries, we are on course to deliver before time on whatever we agreed to do in Paris. Finally, let me in a sense sum up the changes in India in terms of what they mean to our relationship, because my intent was obviously to familiarize you with a lot of what is happening in India. But you would ask yourself, how is it relevant to your business or to your policy making, or in a sense to your national concerns? I would really say there are 7 areas which India and Cyprus should examine between themselves. One, of course, is the world of finance. The world of finance, because Cyprus is an important pathway for financial flows into India. And if you're looking at an economy which is going to grow at 6.5% plus, perhaps significantly plus in the coming decade, then it is certainly, for us, your value will grow with time. For you, we are a partner of a growing relevance. The second is shipping. Shipping, because as I said, we are doing everything to make ourselves into a stronger manufacturing power, but also a more competitive agricultural exporter. So there will be many more products going out of India, and given the rate of growth that I am placing before you, coming into India. The third is tourism. Tourism, because if you look really at the evolution of global tourism in the last 3 decades, wherever there has been a significant bump in prosperity, so you saw this with Japanese tourists, then Korean tourists, then Southeast Asian tourists, then Chinese tourists. So the coming wave will be of Indian tourists. And coming wave will be of Indian tourists going out, but also a very conscious effort by India to attract tourism. The fourth relates to the knowledge economy. The knowledge economy, which is, we will live not just in a world of chips, but increasingly in an era of artificial intelligence. It will require a different set of skills, a different kind of industry, much stronger connections between economies, even if they are separated by distance. And related to that, my fifth point is we will have to promote a culture of mobility. In the world, where there is demand will not necessarily be where there is demographic advantage. So how do we even out the demographics and the demand? I think this is going to be a big challenge. Today, with a number of members of the European Union, we are negotiating mobility and migration agreements. We have done this successfully with Portugal, with Denmark, with France, just recently with Germany. Yesterday, we signed a declaration of intent to do so with Cyprus. Day after tomorrow, I'm going to be in Vienna. I look forward to doing something similar out there. But what I do want to emphasize to you is that today India is a source of talent and skills, and in a more globalized economy, in a more knowledge-driven economy, I think those flows are something which we need to address. Then I think given how comfortable we are with each other, it's also worth a thought whether India and Cyprus could actually work in third countries. Third countries possibly in Africa, maybe in other parts of the world, where we both have some historical presence and some networking and some comfort levels out there, whereby pooling our relationships, we will be able to do much more than we have done so far. And finally, I want to drive home the point that where the Mediterranean is concerned, it is a region of growing interest to us. Obviously, it's a right thing for me to say in Cyprus, but I want to point out to you that if you look at many of our other relationships in the last few years of countries in the Mediterranean, both North Mediterranean and South Mediterranean, there's been very visible intensification of those ties. So I speak to you today, therefore, as a foreign minister of a country that is globalizing very rapidly, whose footprint and whose interests and whose influence will expand with time. And as it does so, I want to really make you all understand that this is a region where there will certainly be more of India. And when that happens, as that happens, for us, the relationship with Cyprus is something which will be an anchor in that respect. So once again, I'm really very pleased I had this opportunity to place some of these thoughts before all of you. And again, it's really a very deep pleasure to be here. Thank you very much.